It's a beautiful day. There's my C63S, AMG C63S. I love this car. Okay, so I'm back on the radar. I've been MIA for about a week or so, and it's good to it's good to be back in this sense. And you know, I don't think I fell off. I'm taking a minute here to recover, to regather my thoughts here, but I have been heavily involved in my acting school. My acting classes have kicked up again, which is great. I have a potential audition coming up um, this next Wednesday for Amazon. It's a commercial. So I am somewhat excited about it, but it hasn't been confirmed. So I cannot check that off the box yet. But I wanted to get this video started here and get some thoughts across to you all, whoever's watching. And the titling of this video is exactly what this video is about. See, I stay in my lane for the most part. I'm a very low key, low stress kind of guy. I don't necessarily go out poking at people for their beliefs and what they stand for and how they operate. I just observe. I don't necessarily say I even support it because I am very much an introvert, as much as people think I'm an extrovert. I just, if I don't support a cause or a belief system, or in this case, wokeism, right? I'm entitled to that opinion and to that belief. And if I'm forced to support it, that means, in my opinion, that's very much fake, very much a facade, very much an inorganic uh, emotion you're trying to get out of me, which is programmed. So if you have kind of caught the rift of where I'm going with this, is that in my acting class, the last few sessions have entailed, you know, a bunch of guys in the class as well to act out feminine scenes. So this could be a gay scene. This could be a transgender scene. This could be playing a feminine character such as Marilyn Monroe from my recent class that we just did, and speaking in an effeminate voice. I have been so discouraged by these recent developments, and I love my acting coach to death. She's amazing. You may have seen me mention her um, in my Instagram, which is public. Um, and she's not a I think she's a woke supporter, which is, I wouldn't say a direct woke supporter, but she's very open to all of the current events and of what the Democrats have left us with. And if you're wondering, yes, I did vote for Trump, but keeping in mind that for 20 years I voted for the Democrats. It's the first time I think the left had gone and has gone so extreme that I decided to change um, my vote, because the values, not everything they do, not every party, right, in office is a saint, and both are at fault in that sense. So no one, I guess what I'm trying to say is no one party is an angel. Both parties have faults, and both have, a dark side to how they operate. But I just had to pick the one I thought was the closest to my values, and the Republicans, the Trump administration, closely aligned, very closely aligned with some of my views that have impacted my life over these 8 to 9 years, which is this wokeism stuff. You know, I personally grew up at a time in a generation. I'm a Gen X, a thriving Gen X. I grew up at a time when we didn't have all this nonsense, this garbage, in my opinion. I have the right to say that. It's garbage for me personally. That's how I look at it. It's a load of shit. Um, we grew up at a time where men were men and women were women. Very traditional approach to movies, relationships, life. Just very proper in that sense, if that makes sense. And it's not a secret why modern day dating today is just an absolute shit show. It's a disaster. And go figure. And that's why they say Gen X population. Some of us are the most slept on generation in that sense. Is we don't really f around like that, man. We stay in our lanes. We're just chill. Like we don't bother people, you know. But when you start telling a masculine man to take on feminine traits and play that part, it's almost like you're brainwashing them, you're programming them, and you're force feeding an ideology that's not natural. It's very unnatural. I'm very clear. I'm very straightforward in my orientation, and I'm a heterosexual, right? Which is you're a straight man, and when you come from a generation that you grew up on Rocky Balboa, Van Damme, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and all of the action movies, Karate Kid, right? All of that stuff during my time. Now, granted that some of those names that I just mentioned, with the exception of Ralph Macchio, who's an exceptional actor in my opinion, the rest of them are okay. Like, let's just face it, right? We weren't watching Van Damme for his acting skills. We were waiting for him to do the splits and the roundhouse kicks and the flares, you know, and the guy was just cool. Everyone wanted that physique. Everyone wanted to look like Van Damme, move like Van Damme. They set the tone for masculinity, you know. And the girlfriend-boyfriend relationship during those days were very standard, normal, like nothing to it. Like, well, don't get me wrong, it was standards, right? Like you would have to take the time to ask a girl out and have mannerisms about yourself. All the polite and gentleman like qualities, right? What today, what I'm seeing, got something stuck in my socks here, folks, is that the woke ideologies have gotten so out of hand that now my acting teacher, my private acting class, 50% of the time is having us. It's heavily male dominated in that class, right? So we have probably 70%, 70, 80% guys in there. So now you have 70, 80% of guys crammed up in one spot in a private home, in a living room area, which is okay, right? Which is fine. But now there's this tension, testosterone, right? There's this tension there, and no one is speaking up. No one is speaking up that this is something they don't want to do, but we're just doing it. It's a circus. For me, this is a circus now. This is out of hand. Um, so I have spoken to my teacher over text, maybe even a brief conversation I've had with her, and I said, "Look, you can skip me with these roles, please, because this is not something I'm comfortable doing. I just think this is not. This will divide, I think, the class, and I don't want to make it awkward by making a scene. And by making a scene, that means is just publicly defiant, right, and just speaking your mind. And a lot of the folks in my class are younger in that sense, is in their 20s, 30s, early 40s, maybe. But there are a few in there that will probably appreciate my frame, my point of view. Because let's face it, if you're a straight guy, you're not necessarily dying to go ahead and play a role of a gay guy. You're not dying, or you're not too heartbroken if the director says, "Okay, you don't want to do it, you're cut." Ah, So long. Good luck. There's plenty. My girlfriend made a comment. She's from Colombia. She goes, "Why are men in America so effeminized? Like, why do they act so gay?" And you know, um, we were having dinner at one of the casinos, and it's a culture shock for her because she's never seen anything like it. And in the Latino culture, they're aggressive. Men are aggressive. They are very very uh, dominant in the sense of protecting, mate guarding, and very masculine. Even my culture, and we don't see a lot. And even if there is this agenda or this, you have a preference of, whatever you like, but it's not pushed down your throat like this. So my last class really kind of broke me, um, because I did it for the spirit of the group. They had us reenact Marilyn Monroe, like 5 grown men in there, and the ladies just watched. Deep down inside, they got to be asking themselves, what a bunch of pussies, right? No one has spoken up. It's biology, it's psychological, right? Innately, you're thinking what you're thinking. Innately, you're feeling what you're feeling. And despite me telling my teacher very firmly during the height of this political, you know, movement a couple of weeks ago, she still chose to insert the wokeism into the class. And for that very reason, I'm going to drop out. Because when I drove home after that class just a few days ago, I felt so disturbed, ashamed, gaslit, and I betrayed myself. It was, when you look at it at a glance, it was a little funny. But we have been so programmed to accept this as a norm that nobody questions it anymore. And most times, men, us guys, we just put our head down and accept it and take the pain, or just don't talk back. We don't speak up. Men don't speak up in today's culture, climate. The fear of, dare you have an opinion, right? Dare you have an opinion, because, women, they will let you hear it all day. They will let you hear it all day. Woman's right this, woman's right that, the wage gap, being mistreated, being harassed, Me Too, and all that great stuff. But if you turn the tables around, um, do you hear men complaining? No, no, we don't. There are very few things that we will raise our hands and say enough. Because a job of a man, well, not the job. What do? We just take and take and take and take. We take the pain. Nobody's gonna fix it for us, man. Nobody's gonna come to fix us and make us feel better and give us a consolation prize. Give us a hug. No, you gotta figure it out. You gotta speak up. You gotta pave the way. You gotta speak your mind, right? And let them know how you really feel about it. Up, up. Um, so this literally happened on Wednesday. This class that I took happened on Wednesday. And what's funny is that when it was going down, I didn't really think in the heat of the moment that it would bother me this much, because I've done it before in good team spirit. It's funny. At first it was funny. But now, when you start seeing a recurring pattern, and my teacher, she's a Democrat, right? So, which is fine. I'm not even blaming you for that, because I have been one my entire life. But now that I see that she's not going to back down and continue to normalize this, as much as I love her, this is now a matter of core principles. So I'm going to drop the class. And I'm already signed to a talent agency. So if I get an audition and a gig, if I need to rehearse, I can go one off. and reach out and say, hey, I need to practice. These are the lines I want to cover, blah, blah, blah. So, in one sense, I'm feeling guilty. See, like I'm not supposed to feel guilty, is because what we have there is a great community. I mean, we recently had a Christmas party there, and when you're new to Vegas and you don't have anyone out here, a community like that can go a long way. You know, you kind of have a mini support system. There's many positives in there. Don't get me wrong. There's many positives. But this one thing is my core principle. And I think once your core principles and core values are crossed, and when people don't respect it, you have to remove yourself from that position. I don't agree with the wokeism stuff, especially when they try to shove it down your throat and make a point of, you know, strong heterosexual men like myself that stand strong in their frame and have a set of belief systems. They try to force it down on you. And if you don't support it, they all of a sudden point at you and say you're toxic. Boy, you're so out of touch. Y'all are so out of touch for even spinning it like that. Talk about manipulation and emotional psyche, right? Right? That's just not the business. So, my approach is going to be, hey teacher, I love you to pieces, but I'm going to take a back seat from these classes for a little bit, and maybe we can come to a compromise, because she loves me too. I know she does. But my compromise is that, hey, on the nights that you have a woke curriculum as part of the class, it seems like you do indeed have that, and you're going to be pursuing it 50% of the time, then I need to know. I got to have the heads up. And once I have the heads up, I'm going to sit out and make better use of my time. Because, just being brutally honest, you know, I don't feel like my acting skills have improved just because I've done a role like that, or just because I've rehearsed and had to reenact an effeminate role. I think it's insulting. And I think there are guys in the class that feel the same way. I think there are guys in the class that feel the same way, but they're just not speaking up. You know, so I'm going to be the first. But outside of making a scene in front of my, you know, class, I think that my first approach is going to be talk to the teacher first, and really get her attention, because our exchange was brief the last time I spoke to her, but this exchange has to be much more firm. I don't think I'm going to lose her relationship or the team or the school, but it has to be said, right? So, yeah, you can see how much this bothered me. This is my first video in a while. Shoot, I didn't even set up my watch for walking. That's all right. It's gonna automatically catch it. So, isn't nature beautiful? Isn't this beautiful? Like, you know. So it was. This topic was eating at me for so long, for so many days, even weeks ago when I first brought it up. I think it slowed me down mentally. It really affected me. It's really been a detriment to my mental health, because it's going against the grain of everything I know. And no one can say, hey, you never tried it. I did. I supported the team. You know, even in Bollywood movies, there are stars that, in the right opportunity and given the moment, right, there's a place and there's a time and place for sort of being funny with a female character, like trait, right? Like undercover cop that dresses up as a female, or a disguise. Like, I get it, eh? But it's too far few in between, though. In this class, 50% of the time is woke curriculum. And I never thought I'd be making a video like this about it. I'm very torn, very, very torn. But torn in a sense that I gotta tell this lady who's like my mother, and grandmother, and she's given me a home, that our values don't align. And unless you can respect it, I'm gonna have to take a back seat. And if the rest of the class, the younger folks, thinks I'm weird, hey, I'd rather stand strong on my word, on my business, and in my frame, and as they say, grow a pair of, you know what, right? And that's what a lot of men don't do today. We just take. But I say enough is enough. You got to speak for yourself. What they're doing in class is brainwashing you and programming you, and it's the woke agenda they're rolling out. It's super effed up, man. It's super effed up. That shit messed me up for. Oh, I'm still not good. I'm still upset. I'm very upset. But see, the advantage of getting to this age, is I know how to manage my temper. I know, I know how to physically channel that energy, right? And I'm doing it now. 10,000 steps. I'll be honest. Even getting out here today was so challenging. I was just like dead weight on the couch today, just mentally out of it. Because I really don't agree with what's happening, not just to me, but to my fellow men. And I think what happens is they don't even realize that this is happening to them. And when I see the girls in the class, they're just sitting back, watching all the fellows go through this drill, but yet they're not reenacting anything that pushes them outside of the comfort zone. See what I mean? So the observers, the spectators, it's on the other side of the spectrum, right? So we're doing what's thrown at us. We're not questioning it. We're just kind of going with the flow. I know 70, 80, 90% of the guys don't want to do that. It's so freaking awkward. It's so awkward. It's so awkward. That's not bringing out my best. That just brought out my worst, my nasty side. There's no glory in doing those type of bullshit roles that doesn't serve a man, that attempts to emasculate men. I'm not with it. In fact, F it. That's what I say. F that movement. That's not me. F that movement is because that movement is coming for me now and for other guys in this place. Because I don't agree, I'm a bad guy. Because I don't agree, I'm evil, I'm toxic. And that's far from it. I like, stay in my lane, man. I stay in my lane, you stay in your lane. Don't force your beliefs down my damn throat. Because I'm not doing anything to you. I'm not harming you. Anyway, folks, I had to get this off my chest. Still very much bothers me. Uh, although my absence in class will not make a difference, at least I don't think it will. But I do intend to make a splash and make it known that I don't stand for all that BS. And the teacher can go ahead and tell the rest of the class. They'll respect me. They may not like me. Half of the class may not like me. That's all right. You're not here to be liked. If you stand on business, if you stand on your principles and by your principles and stick to who you are and show up that way, people will respect you despite they may not like you for it. And at some point they'll start to admire you. They'll start to admire you. Okay, I went incline and I'm back on the decline again, making a 360. It's good to be back talking about this. Clears the air. I was feeling sick. Just having this negative energy circulate and unable to let my thoughts out, right? So that's the advantage of doing the things you don't want to do and still pushing forward, walking your 10,000 steps, even though you're angry, you're sad, you're depressed. Whatever emotion that's going on in your body, you have to fight that emotion through physical movement and simple thing as moving, walking like this. I'm angry, folks. I'm very, very, very angry, but I don't sound angry. I'm calm is because my body, my biologies, I'm fasted right now, is doing its work. Fasted cardio walking is freaking amazing. Till the next video, Mamba out.